wonderful internet people. I apologize for the crudeness of my video here. I'm not really set up to do anything fancy, but it's just makeshift. But I'm excited to tell you that I got my neck from Musikraft for the Strat project I'm doing. So let me show you that real quick. It came in a box, as you'd expect. See, it was well packaged. This is the first time I've taken it out, so here we go. I wash my hands so that the reason being is because this is unfinished, as you'll notice, and so I don't want to get any oil on it that will be in it for the rest of its life. So there you go, licensed by Fender, Musikraft, made in the USA. So let me give you some specs on this. It's just a basic Fender neck as far as the looks of it, the aesthetics, but let me give you the rundown of the details real quick. Okay, so I got a cheat sheet here because I don't remember all of it, so let me just share with you. The orientation obviously is right, as you saw. Not that you know that I'm right-handed, but most people are. Scale length is 25.5, standard Fender scale length. Number of frets 21. I debated, I went back and forth between 22 and 21. Like, one fret's gonna really matter that much, but I was like, well, if I have the chance to get 22 frets, I should. But then you have overhang of the fretboard onto the body, and I wasn't positive about how the body would fit because I was getting a body that was not made by Musikraft. The body I have is by Tone Bomb, and Tone Bomb was really good about communicating, and so was Musikraft, but I didn't want to take any chances, and I was trying to go vintage, so that is the reason I went with 21 frets. Okay, the nut width is 1.65, which is a little bit odd. I think 1 and 1.66875. And then, so there's 1 3/4 inches, and I can't remember off the top of my head what the next one is, but most American standard Strats, or I guess the professional series, are a little bit wider than 1.65 inches. The Telly that I have and the Jazzmaster I have that, and even the Gibson that I have has that same nut width, and I really like it. The Strat that I did have, I really didn't get along with it that well, and it had the wider nut, so I went with this one. Also, the John Mayer guitar has this one. I'm kind of roughly replicating his guitar, really roughly, just basically a black relic Strat. But I like this, I want to get kind of the same specs as his guitar. Tuner holes are the vintage size, so they're 11 32seconds of an inch. So not like the 10 millimeter, the modern size. They're more like 8 millimeters, something like that. Smaller. The truss rod type is actually dual acting at the headstock. Now, I debated also because the vintage Strats are adjustable at the heel of the neck, and so but then I realized that, and I don't know why I never realized this, maybe because I never had to, but you have to take the neck off every time you adjust the truss rod. Now, some people say you don't have to, that there's methods around it, that you can get a tool, like, you know, down in the little hole slit of the pickguard, that would you'd have to have, I guess. I didn't want to risk that, and so, but I also did not want a skunk stripe on the back. So I wanted it to look like it was adjustable at the heel, but it is not. It is adjustable at the headstock. You can barely see it. It's really small, and it takes, I guess, a 4 millimeter hex wrench to adjust it. But it almost looks like that it's adjustable at the heel, which is what I wanted. I wanted the vintage look, no skunk stripe. And so Musikraft was able to do that, and that was awesome. And I even questioned, like, I didn't want this piece up here. Can't use my, okay. I didn't want this right here to be like a rosewood color or a dark colored wood right there, some kind of insert, because I've seen necks like that with the headstock, and I didn't want that because I didn't want it to be obvious that I had a truss rod up there. So I don't know, that may seem stupid to some people, but that's what I really wanted, and that's what they did for me. And it wasn't really like a really super custom order. It was just like, this is what you want, we do this, we'll do it. So awesome. Okay, fretboard radius is 9.5. Vintage Strats are what, 7 1/4. So they're more rounded. This is a little bit more flat. The 12th dot spacing. I should really just keep this in my hand, but I don't want to risk getting oil or anything on it. 12th fret dots are a little wider, which is more true to vintage. Also, the dots are clay. Actually, they're imitation clay, but nonetheless clay. The fretboard is Indian rosewood, and Oh, it's a Slab. Okay, so Slab. Now, some of them have the veneer, I guess, the Rosewood, but the more vintage spec is the Slab, which is really cool. It's what I wanted. I don't know for any other reason except that vintage, and that's what they did. But I wanted Slab, and so that's what I got. Let's see what else. The side dots are also imitation clay, and they're centered on the fingerboard wood on the edge. The fret wire is Musikraft calls it 9055 medium tall nickel silver, but it's actually the exact same wire size as the Dunlop 6105, which John Mayer Strat has. And I know, like, I guess I heard Mick from the pedal show, he kind of prefers that fret size too. The other Strat that I had, the American, had jumbo frets, so they were tall, but they're also wide. And again, I didn't get along super well with that Strat. So I think I'm gonna like these. I like the more narrow frets, but the tallness will help with, bending and things like that. So I never had it, but I just took people's word for it. And so I wanted that. The fretboard edges are semi-rolled. I've seen a video of a luthier taking like a screwdriver, and a rounded screwdriver obviously, and just kind of like moving it across the edge of the fretboard to kind of roll it more or give it a really rolled shape. So I may try that if I get brave, but it's sort of semi-rolled. I think it costs maybe like $20-40 more to get it heavily rolled, so I just said skip that. Oh, the back of the profile. So the profile it goes from 83 at the first fret to 92 at the 12th. I think that's how they're measured. Anyway, so it's a fairly fat C shape. Now, Musikraft has a lot of shapes that you can choose from on their website, and I went back and forth. I actually ordered it, the neck, and then I went back and sent them an email and said, oh, I want to change it. So it was like a little thinner, I think, at the headstock, a little thicker at the 12th fret. I switched it a little bit. There are some specs. I think it's more like speculation as to the John Mayer neck size, but this is close to whatever everybody says it is. So the John Mayer neck I don't think is as fat as the Stevie Ray Vaughan neck. Stevie Ray Vaughan neck, as far as I know, is just like one thickness the entire way. So this is tapered a little bit and gets smaller towards the headstock, but it feels comfortable so far, and it's very similar to the Telly neck that I have, and the neck on my Jazzmaster, and the neck on my Les Paul. So all of those are comfortable for me, and that's what I wanted. A while back, I used to think that a slimmer neck was for me, that I was like, slimmer is faster, it feels better, it's not as hard, but I actually have, I guess, pretty decent sized linked fingers. I don't know, so I came to realize that I actually like that kind of beefy neck. What else? No binding, it's raw, it's unfinished, so I'm going to finish it. If you've been keeping up with my videos, I'm going to put some nitrocellulose on it. I've got the vintage amber, so I'm going to make it, more yellow, orangey looking amber, and put the nitro, and then I'm also going to like age the back of the neck, so it's not going to be raw wood, but it's going to be weathered and grayed, and then I'm going to put some oil on it so it seals it in a little bit, keeps it protected from the elements. There's no mounting holes, so I'm going to do those myself, which is always, it's like walking on thin ice. But I did it with my Jazzmaster. I'm looking over there because my Jazzmaster's over there. I did it with my Jazzmaster, and I was successful, so I think I can do it. And then I think that's about it. Oh, I did add, for $35 extra, I got a Tusk nut installed. I think bone was a little bit more. Tusk to me is almost on par with bone. It's actually more consistently dense through the material, where bone is like, you may have sort of like pockets of less density and heavier density, and bone is kind of the quintessential nut material, but I think Tusk is really on par. And also Tusk is sort of self-lubricated. The Strat obviously, well, not obviously, but mine is going to have the standard tremolo system or the vibrato arm, so it will be moving in the nut slot, so that lubrication will help. So the $35 included them slotting the nut and everything too. So I know if you get like your local guitar shop to do that, that's about the price they charge. So I didn't think that was outrageous or anything. And I think that's it. Now what I'm going to do is take the body that I have and kind of getting close and see how it fits on, see how the neck fits on the body, and hopefully everything works out good.